You're listening to the Angry Marks Podcast Network.
Hey everybody, this is Stevie J. I just got back from watching WWE Over the Limit 2012 at the bar. Shoutouts to my friends Bakar and Bill who sat there and watched the show with me. And I'm going to go over the results really quick for YouTube. So here's what happened on tonight's show. In a pre-show match airing on YouTube, Kane defeated Zack Ryder. Not a whole lot to write home about this one. It was, well, you can say that he had a couple of hope spots in there, but not a whole lot. And Kane finally hit him with a choke slam when he was going for the Rough Rider and pinned him. So pretty much what you'd expect. About 44,000 people were watching this match on YouTube, and the numbers immediately started dropping afterwards. And I'm sure the fact that it was a John Laurinaitis segment on the pre-show next didn't help matters. Then when the actual pay-per-view began, we had a 20-man battle royal already in progress where the winner got to choose the champion of their choice between the U.S. or the Intercontinental title and face them later on in the evening. Christian won the 20-man battle royal with Cody Rhodes and Santino watching from ringside. He would make his decision later on. Then in a tag team match for the WWE tag titles, Kofi Kingston and R-Truth were able to successfully defend the titles against the team of Dolph Ziggler and Jack Swagger, who I've dubbed Team Vicky, and of course I've dubbed the champions Boom Truth, as have most people. Anyway, the tag champs successfully retained the WWE tag titles in a fun match. I enjoyed this one. It was pretty good action, some high flying by Kofi like you'd expect. It was all around enjoyable. The next match was Layla retaining over Beth Phoenix, and it almost came as a fluke, really, because Layla had been dominated and thrown around and beaten up by Beth Phoenix for almost the entire match, but at the very end, Beth came over to pick up Layla, but she turned it into a neck breaker and got the cover and a quick 3 count, so by the skin of her teeth, Layla managed to retain the title. Next up was the Fatal 4-Way between Sheamus, Orton, Jericho, and Alberto Del Rio, with, of course, Ricardo Rodriguez there at ringside. Now, as Fatal 4-Way rules go, this means the first man who gets the pinfall wins the title. He does not have to pin the champion to win, which, of course, leads to everybody backstabbing everybody and trying to get a pin at all times, which makes it kind of a clusterfuck of a match, but this was a fun one to watch despite that. Jericho kicked Sheamus in the head. He came off the ropes, but Sheamus picked him up on his shoulders. Jericho rolled through it, sent Sheamus into the walls of Jericho, locked it in, but Sheamus pushed it up and crawled for the ropes. Jericho dragged him back to the middle of the ring and sat all the way down on the walls trying to get him to tap out, but Orton came in and hit Jericho with the RKO to break it up. Del Rio tried to run in and steal the pin by stomping Orton in the head. Orton moved out of the way and hit the RKO on Del Rio. That allowed the brogue kick on Orton from Sheamus. Jericho rolled up Sheamus with a schoolboy for a pin, but Sheamus picked up Jericho, hit his kryptonite crunch, and covered him for 3. Well, WWE calls it the white noise, but we all know it's the kryptonite crunch. The champion gets the pinfall and retains his World Heavyweight title. Backstage, we had a segment with Cody Rhodes talking to Eve Torres, and Christian came up and had a little jibber-jabber back and forth with him. And finally, after Cody Rhodes had insulted Christian enough, he said, you know what? I was going to face Santino, but I changed my mind. I'm going to face you tonight. Then we had The Miz and Brodus Clay in an unannounced bonus match that was set up by The Miz mocking Brodus Clay, saying he was a better dancer, and then The Miz proceeded to do a series of dance moves that looked like the zombies from Thriller. The Funk was on a roll, though. And this was a fun match. The crowd enjoyed it, and not really a technical spectacle, but, you know, you don't get that with Brodus Clay anyway, so who really expected it? What happened was The Miz went up to the top turnbuckle, Brodus cut him off, he went to the second rope, and then hit a T-bone suplex off it. Then he came off the ropes with his trademark splash, the Funk You or the Funk It, whatever you want to call it, and then he hooked the leg and got the 3 count. So Brodus Clay wins the first bonus match. The second bonus match, as we learned earlier, was Cody Rhodes versus Christian, and he came out and cut a promo, basically pissed off all the fans in North Carolina, saying they were all short-sighted and stupid. You know the deal. So this, of course, got everybody behind Christian, who was a huge babyface in this match, and they were all happy when Christian was able to hit the kill switch and cover him for 3. So Christian became your new Intercontinental Champion tonight. Bar certainly loved this one. I think the crowd did too. Then in our next match of the evening, CM Punk faced Daniel Bryan, and this one really was the show stealer as they were busting out all of their submission moves, all of their Ring of Honor moves, all of their near fall moves, going old school with it. The bar crowd was so into this, there were actually Daniel Bryan versus CM Punk chants. Half the bar for one and half the bar for the other. The crowd in the building was doing a "This is awesome" chant, and indeed it was. The finish involved both men getting up from Punk getting a 2 count. Bryan hit a knee to the ribs. He charged and then hit more knees, and the crowd was going crazy. The ref had to pull him away. Both men went to opposite sides of the ring. Bryan tried to rally the crowd with "yes" chants, and then he charged with a flying knee, but Punk got out of the way. He countered with a Muay Thai knee. Daniel Bryan managed to block it and wrestle Punk to the ground and apply the yes lock, but Punk fights his way out of it, rolls Bryan over, and gets the 3 count. Punk came out on top in the end, but Daniel Bryan looked great. Then we had our final bonus match of the evening, Ryback versus Camacho. No idea why they did this. It was a glorified squash. Ryback beat him with the fireman's carry and a 3 count. Whatever. The main event was John Cena versus People Power Johnny Laurinaitis. And if you had predicted beforehand that there was going to be interference in this match so that John Laurinaitis would find a way to win and not be fired, you were correct. And if you predicted that the Big Show was going to be able to interfere because he was, quote, fired, unquote, and couldn't be fired if he interfered, you were also right. That's exactly what happened here. And I'll give WWE kudos on this much. They didn't change the finish just because people had already figured it out ahead of time. I'm glad they went ahead and did it, but I will say this was not really the main event for this show. If they had finished with Punk and Bryan, this would have been a much stronger pay-per-view. This left a flat taste in my mouth, and people at the bar were not happy about it either. Nobody likes seeing Johnny Laurinaitis win, even if it's part of the storyline, even if it's building up to something later. Everybody's just tired of Laurinaitis. Not tired as in he's a heel and I don't like him. Tired as in I don't want to see this guy anymore. It's go away, Heat, get off my TV. So John Laurinaitis wins and retains his job. But Cena did beat him to hell and back first, including dousing him with water and then spraying him with a fire extinguisher until there were ice crystals on his back. So Cena did have his fun, but Johnny Ace pulled it out in the end thanks to the Big Show.